I don't know. When I was younger, I used to play out the field as well. I used to play up front as well, I think, and out and in goals as well. So probably about 14 or 15, I decided to really concentrate on being a goalkeeper. And probably my dad suggested I should stick to goalkeeping because maybe he said I wasn't so good at the field, but I was actually top goal scorer from school. I'm a frustrated centre forward really, but he must have seen something in me when I played in goal that he felt there was a talent there, and I sort of stuck more to that, and luckily it's worked out okay for me.
Yeah. You're from Donegal?
Yeah.
Yep. Did you ever play any other sports like GAA?
Yeah, I played Gaelic football, yeah. I mean, at school I used to play lots of different sports just to get a half day off school, to be honest, but no, Gaelic football I think is good in the sense if you are becoming a goalkeeper as well. I think there's the physical side to the Gaelic football that'll help you with crosses and body contact and things like that. So
did you play as an outfield player in the GAA?
I did a bit of both actually, outfield and in goals, yeah. And, as you know, it's very a lot more physical than football, the Gaelic is, so it's I think definitely it was a good breeding ground, I suppose. I don't know. I suppose I must have realised I had some talents. I had 4 brothers growing up, and we used to be in the front garden every day, and I used to be always in goals and flying around keeping the ball out, I suppose. But I'd say my dad was probably a big influence as well because he was a goalkeeper, not a professional one, but pretty high up in Donegal terms, and he as I say, he spotted, I suppose, things in me that felt that I had a chance, and he says you stick to one position rather than going out the field if you need the goal and whatever, and concentrate more on my goalkeeping. Well, I would say probably my dad when I was that age, because you are very young and you need advice, obviously, and your dad's very important.
Was your ambition at a very young age, was it to go and play professional football across the water?
I think it was, but I think that's sort of a dream type thing. You were asked what would you like to do when you're older, and you'd say play football, but living in Lifford and County Donegal, you think the chances of that are slim to none, so that was probably the dream, but I would never have thought for 1 minute that could actually be a reality,
Yes.
So as I say, I've been extremely fortunate, and I've had to work hard along the way as well, but it's been fantastic to come from such a small place to end up in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I left at 16 as well, as a lot of young kids do, and you're sitting in digs, and I was in Glasgow at the time, and all your friends and family are at home, and it's difficult to get your head around. I know you're there to play football, but you just think you're missing out on so much back at home with your friends and the people you've grown up all your life with. So the first year was probably the worst. Probably I had a guy from Derry called Nigel Melly who was a couple of years older than me, and that probably helped me bed in a bit as well. He had a car and stuff, so I didn't have to get the bus when I moved in with him and stuff, and he was a big help, I think.
Did you ever think about sort of jacking it in and going back home?
I did a few times, yeah. I was always so excited to get home, even for a weekend or something, getting on the plane or the boat or whatever way you get home. It was like, you just get the buzz of thinking I'm going home to see all my friends and family, and that was very special. And then the other side of the coin was you didn't want to leave when you were there, So I understand when you say kids, do find it difficult, but probably after the first year, especially after the second year, I felt more comfortable with living away, Well, I was delighted, obviously. Kenny Dalglish is such a huge figure in world football, and he's an idol in a lot of people's eyes, and rightly so. He's a great, and I was delighted when he wanted me to go to Blackburn, and I had a great 3 years there. I learned a lot. I had a great goalkeeping coach in Terry Geno, and one of the best I've ever worked with. And I learned a lot from working with Tim Flowers and Bobby Mims as well, and it was a great learning curve for me.
Yeah. When you were at Blackburn, they put you out on loan, and were you at Sunderland then?
Yeah. I went to Swindon first, and then I went to Sunderland after that for 3 months. So, great experience for me, and I think you can train sort of till the cows come home, but until you go out across the white line and play in front of big crowds and stuff, and it's the mental side of things. Can you handle that, and the pressure comes with that. So it's not just about how good a shot stopper you are in training.
Well, I think just sort of reading your little profile, or your sort of extra large profile, you must have impressed Kenny Dalglish, because he came back at you again and asked you to sign for Newcastle, which you were there for 12 years, was it?
Yeah, 11 and a half years, a long time, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have great respect for Kenny, and I still speak to Kenny on a regular basis. He's a great man, and when the call came, he brought me to Newcastle. It was fantastic. I was only 21, and he wanted me to be, the first choice keeper in the Premier League in a club that was flying high in the top of the league. So, there was only one answer for me, and that was a most definitely yes. And I've got some great memories of playing for Newcastle, and the special, relationship with their fans as well was fantastic. You say that's probably one of the best atmospheres in England, if not in Europe. When they're really behind the team and the place is buzzing. It's a fantastic place to play football, and as I say, some very good memories there.
Would you ever have thought maybe after you've finished your playing career, you've been at Newcastle for 12 years, would you ever love to go back as a manager?
I don't know. I'm here in Belfast doing my coaching badges this week, and hopefully I can get through all them and have the qualifications first and foremost. But one day you would dream of being a manager, and who knows where it could be. It could be Newcastle, could be Finn Harps or Derry City. You don't know where your future is, but I'd like to think with this experience I've gained playing under so many great managers in my time, then I think then I would like to think I would do half a decent job myself. I think you're probably right. You take bits from all of them. Some stuff you probably wouldn't do that some of them would do, and all our bits you would think, well, that was brilliant. Like, I must remember that for the future. So probably the two who stand out, and that would be probably Kenny Dalglish, that we've spoke already about. Great respect for him, and the other one probably Sir Bobby Robson. Because his enthusiasm for football and for training and for winning matches and stuff, it was just so contagious. It rubbed off on everyone, and he's in his 70s and he was still barking orders, and it just football was his life, and I think he gained so much respect because of how much he loved the game. I don't know, there's been a few probably. You could probably mention a few, but I don't know, maybe Thierry Henry when he was at Arsenal in his prime. He always seemed to play well and against us or whatever, and I suppose more recently, more famous for using his own hands. Maybe he should take the gloves on himself, but no, I mean he's one of probably the greats of Premier League football and world football really. So he was a bit of a handful.
Would you have done any specific training whenever you knew that you were playing
I think
Arsenal?
If you're a footballer, Premier League football, you're at home watching Match of the Day, you're at home watching all the highlights, and at the club we've got so many video analysis guys as well that if asking for something on Thierry Henry or whoever, they'll bring it up, and they'll show me all his stuff, free kicks, penalties, whatever, where he runs off the ball and stuff, and you have to look at that as well and study, and match time comes around, you're well prepared for it.
Would you sit down with your goalkeeping coach then and go through a lot of stuff, and he'd sort of plan his sessions?
Well, I did not with the one at the minute because he didn't speak that good English, but normally, like with Alan Kelly, the Republic of Ireland, and previously, previous goalkeeping coaches, you would sit down and have a chat with them, and try and not plan out the week as such, as plan out roughly, for the season, maybe what you would like to do, and if he's a good goalkeeping coach, which most of them are, then in the week leading up to a game, he would cover every aspect that you would have to deal with.
What would you say your strengths are as a goalkeeper?
I don't know. It's probably someone else should answer that. But I suppose I've gained a lot of experience, and it's you only get experience if you're playing, and you're only playing if you're playing well. So you must be doing something right, and played a lot of games in the Premier League and a lot of games for Ireland as well. So I think a lot of that comes from experience, and I think sometimes goalkeepers, as Van de Sar and Friedel, people have shown that the older you get, sometimes the better you get. I don't know, probably one for Ireland, probably one against Iran in the home playoff when we played them to get to the World Cup finals. We made a save in the second half, which was pretty good, and then to keep a clean sheet at home was very important for the World Cup playoffs. And then probably for a club level, it was against Sunderland for Newcastle, and we won 1-0. Kevin Phillips had a shot outside the box and tipped it around the post. I think it made the top 10 saves of the decade in the Premier League, so it must have been something decent about it.
What would your routine be on a sort of match day?
Match days for me is very keep it as what I do every match day, and people might think that's a bit boring, but it's probably much a psychological thing as much a goalkeeping terms. It's something that makes me feel comfortable leading into a game, and you know, it's done me okay so far, so I don't think I want to change it
Yeah.
anytime soon. The big thing is to you know, to forget about it. You know, stick it to one side and say I'll deal with it after the game, and then you analyse it after the game. But the most important thing is you got to focus back on the ball and back on, you know, the game that's still going on, because you can make that mistake in the first minute and you've got 89 minutes to get through. So it's imperative that you focus on on the ball, and just to forget about it, and but after the game you go back and look at it and think, you know, what could have done better, what should have done on that occasion.
My final question to you would be, what advice would you give to any teenage goalkeeper who's aspiring to become a professional goalkeeper?
Well, for me, it's probably getting I suppose, coached as early as possible. I mean, I didn't have my first real coach until I was 16, until I went over to Glasgow. So, you know, the earlier they can start, I think the better. And then it's listening and learning to your coach, and you know, whatever you do in life, I don't think if you don't work hard at it, then you know you'll not go very far. And you've got to put the hours in the gym, you've got to put the hours on the training pitch, and if you don't do that, then you know you'll struggle to be a success.
That's great, Shay. Thanks very much for taking the time out
No
for the interview,
No problem.
and good luck for the rest of the season.
Right, thanks
very much.